Board games. Board games. 2024.
Board games.
My top 50.
2024.
2024.
My top 50.
Board games.
My top 50.
2024. Board games.
2024.
Starting now. Hiya folks, welcome back to Birds on Board, your home of board gaming excellence. My name is Pigeon. Today we'll be going through the start of my top 50 board games for 2024. Over the next few days, I'll be releasing these at 10 board games at a time. So today we're going to be doing 50 to 41, I think it is. Also, if you are interested, I created a runner-up list, so you can find that in the description down below. Those are my board games that just didn't quite make the cut, but still very great in my opinion. One more thing before we start. How I made these rankings was I used a website called PubMeeple. So PubMeeple is a website that you can access via your mobile device or desktop, and it is pretty much a ranking engine at this point. I used to do a whole bunch of other board game related topics like YouTube videos and podcasts, and now they are mainly focused on their ranking engine and their top 9 generation tools. It allows you to pop in your BGG username and it will fetch all your games from your collection as well as all your players, and it will help you rank them really quick and easily. So without further waffling, let's hop into the list at number 50. And our first board game on the list at number 50 is Obsession. So Obsession is a board game that might have slipped under my radar. It's one of those board games where the theme doesn't grab me. Its theme is like Pride and Prejudice or Bridgerton or those fancy old folk. So in this game, you're playing one of the rich fancy folk that I can't really relate to, and you're trying to host the best party and become the most well-renowned family and impress the higher ups that come along. I would have initially classed this game as a worker placement game because you have different staff, different worker meeples. Based on your staff around the estate, you have a butler and a handmaiden and a dog's body and a chauffeur. I don't know, a whole bunch of different staff that you kind of order around, and you need a certain amount of staff to take part in certain actions. But these staff obviously need to rest sometimes. I assumed, like a regular worker placement game, that you're putting out these staff, use them, and once all your staff are used, you then have to kind of go to the next round to retrieve them. No. In this game, the mechanism is actually called an action retrieval game. It's an action retrieval mechanism. And what that means is you can actually choose which gentry and which staff are going to go do certain actions, events or gardening or whatever it be. And then as a separate move, you could say, okay, well, staff, have your rest, and when you're ready, come back. So at any point, you could say, I'm not going to take an action. I'm rather going to retrieve my workers to take a bigger action next turn. So it's an action retrieval game, not so much a worker placement game, although they are very similar. I ended up liking the game despite the theme. I'm still not really drawn to the theme, but I got really into it. It's a very fun game. You get to pick cards or pick events. That increases the amount of worker placement spots you can choose from. I very much enjoyed it. So if you do have a Mr. Darcy in your life, maybe Obsession is your next obsession. Number 50 is Obsession. At number 49 on the list, I have placed the Resistance Avalon. So it is not original Resistance, which was on the runner-up list if you did watch that. The Resistance Avalon just takes Resistance to the next level. If you've played the original Resistance enough times, you kind of get the gist of it. You understand what to look out for, what questions to ask, how to really push folks' buttons so they spill the beans. The Avalon version of the Resistance adds a few more quirks to it, as well as a different theme. The Resistance Avalon adds the Knights of the Round Table theme, the King Arthur theme, where you are either on the side of good, King Arthur and folks, and the Knights of the Round Table and Merlin, or you could be on the side of evil, and you could be with the forces of Mordred. Then you're trying your best to overthrow Arthur, get rid of him, destroy Camelot. And this game comes with a few more roles. Now, as with the Resistance, this is a hidden role game, so you're trying to figure out are folks either on the force of good or the force of evil. So in the Resistance, that will be spies versus the Resistance, right? This time we've got King Arthur's side, Mordred's side, good, evil. So in the Resistance of Avalon, you could either be part of the forces of good and loyal to King Arthur and those of Camelot, or you could be a minion of Mordred, the bad guy, forces of evil, and you could be an assassin, or you could be Mordred, or you could be King Arthur, or you could be Merlin, or you could be Lancelot. And these sub-roles add a whole bunch of extra rules that make the game a bit more crunchy, a bit more cerebral. So you're really trying to look at everyone's actions, what they're doing, what questions they're asking, to find out what side they're on, good, evil, what role. For example, you could be Merlin. Now, Merlin knows who's on the evil side. He knows exactly, but he can't let them know he knows. Because if they find out who Merlin is, you lose the game. So Merlin's got to somehow let the good guys, his team, know what he knows without letting them know what he knows. But he must let them know what he knows, but he mustn't let the minions of Mordred know that he knows that they know that he knows. Anyway, so that's number 49, the Resistance Avalon, and it just takes what's great about the Resistance and amplifies it, I feel, to a better product. Number 49. At number 48, we have Shifting Stones. So Shifting Stones is a logic puzzle. It is a very thinky board game. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to do pattern matching. You're trying to take these 9 cubes and shift them, discarding cards in your hand as a resource to do so. And you're trying to shift them and flip them to make these patterns that you also have in your hand. So here's the problem. You don't know what patterns you want to be going for because the other players are also going to be shifting the stones, hence the name. So by the time it comes back around to you, the table's all messed up. It's not the way you planned. And now a pattern that you were very close to getting is now null and void. There's no way you're going to get that. So it is a game where you are deciding which patterns to go for and which are too difficult to get. Sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes it's your turn. You look at a pattern and wow, this is like 5 points or something. You see that your opponents have actually left you in such a good state that you can actually get points free, no movements necessary. Great stuff. Most of the time, that's not the case. So most of the time, you are forced to shift things around and flip tiles and actually discard the majority of your hand to get the required pattern. It is quite a thinky game, and I do enjoy it. I do think you need a bit of spatial knowledge, if that makes sense, to move around the board, how things flip, how things move. I do find it plays better at lower play counts, maybe 2 for the best. And I actually feel that a 1-player mode might even beat that. I quite enjoyed the single player. It's a nice, quick little thinking game that I can use while I sip my coffee and sort out these patterns. And that's number 48, Shifting Stones. And at number 47, we have Codenames, which I think is our first party game on the list. I guess the Resistance might count as a party game, but this is the first true party game, as it were. So Codenames is quite well known. I think it's a modern classic in the party game realm at this point. In Codenames, you're playing as these spies, 2 opposing teams, red and blue team, and you are trying to give your team clues about what your team's codenames are. The theme is very light, but what we're doing is we're looking at this grid, this tableau of different words. As your team's spy leader, you know what of those words are your team and what of those words are the opposing team. You are now trying to give your team a clue which comprises of a word and a number, and you are trying to make them guess which codenames are within your team. I could say music 3, and I hope that they would spot trumpet, flute, and piano, and they would make sense. But there might also be a codename that says sound, and they think, oh, well, music is a sound. Maybe I should have said instrument rather, instrument 3, that would have been a better clue. But that's the game. So you're trying to make them guess your words and not the opponent's. What's nice, though, is that if you guess incorrectly, those clues don't go away. The board doesn't change, which means on my team's next turn, they can then reattempt and go, oh, remember, Pigeon said instruments 3, and we didn't get all 3 instruments, so let's try now. This time, let's go for piano this time. What is scary is sometimes the clues overlap with your opponents, so you might give a clue which in some minds reference the opponent's code names, which is unfortunate. And even more scary is that there's actually this assassin that's in the mix, and if you pick the assassin, you lose instantly. So you're trying your best to give clues, but really there's this wide girth you have to give the assassin clue, the assassin word, because you don't want in any circumstance your team to think that that's your team. It's not. Don't pick it. So very fun game. And there are also different variants. There's one for Disney. I think there's one for Marvel as well. There's an adult version that has some naughty risque words. There's an XXL version which makes everything nice and big so you can play across the room apparently. I think there's a picture version that has not just images and not so much code names. There's more code pictures, I guess. Very, very well-known board game. I'm sure you all have played it, but that's Codenames 47. And at 46, we have another party game. We have Wavelength. So Wavelength is a game where you have to, again, split into 2 teams. You have a contraption that has a dial that shows one extreme all the way to another extreme. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your team to guess an exact point on that spectrum. And the way you do it is you pick a card, and the card might be things that are hot and things that are cold. And you randomly spin this dial, and it will give you a range that you have to make your team guess. Let's say it's over there. So hot, cold, over there, right? So how would I make you think hot, cold over there with a clue? I might say the perfect hot dog temperature. It's not too hot, but it's edible. Or I might say biscuits out the oven right over there. I don't want to say lava because lava's over there, right? I don't want to say the sun's over there. I don't want to say an ice cube might be down more that side. So I'll say something that's in the middle. So I would assume body temperature is in the middle. So I would say something a bit more, I would say, I wouldn't say fire is too much. I would say maybe like bath water or a shower. What do you guys think? What would you say would be the best clue to give something that's just off center towards hot? I don't know. But that's wavelengths. Wavelengths, you're trying to give your team the best clue so they can get a range between two extremes. Again, it's a party game. So it's not so much about winning or losing. It's more about the laughter and the arguments you have afterwards where people are saying,
why did you say shower? That's the worst group. I would have said lava, but after 2 days, that would have been a better poop.
And then you throw them in their head because what a stupid thing to say. And that's number 46, wavelength. And at number 45, we have Blitzkrieg World War II in 20 minutes. And this is the only duel game I have. I know duel games have become quite popular in our games. There's Azul Duel, there's Everdell Duel is coming out, there's a Splendid Duel. I think they even have a King of Tokyo Duel coming out. I'm not too interested in any of these, to be quite honest. Not yet, at least. However, Blitzkrieg, I quite enjoy. It's nice and quick. The theme is light, and yet it's just enough to get you in that mood where I'm a general and trying to wage war on the different fronts to try and beat my opponent. Do you go and force the opponent's move to put them in a lackluster situation? Or do you try and take chances and build my forces up and go for a big point scoring and hope that they don't notice what you're doing? It's very fun. It didn't take me 20 minutes my first time, but that's because I took a while to get the rules under wraps. But I think you can actually fit it in under 20 minutes once you understand the rules. It is quite a small game, so it is something you can pop in your backpack or your satchel and take around and hope someone is just interested in waging quick 20-minute war, 1v1, and see who the best general is. That's number 45, Blitzkrieg World War II in 20 minutes. So at number 44, we have another party game. At number 44, we have So Clover! Exclamation mark. So Clover is a party game where instead of teams, you're all playing together. Very fun. You each get this little clover easel and a marker, and you get a grid of words. What you're trying to do is give one word clue that connects two words. Easy enough. Problem is, it's over a grid. So I have to give one word that matches these two clues, one word that matches these two clues, one word that matches these two clues, one word that matches these two clues. And hopefully my teammates can put that all together. Here's the wackiness. The wackiness is there's actually a red herring thrown in there. There's another card in there that doesn't even belong. And sometimes, if you're unlucky, that card actually makes more sense with certain words than the clues you previously gave. It's a very fun game. Again, it's a party game where you are laughing and shouting at each other and just giggling at the weird concepts people come up with to try and make their clues work. Sometimes there's situations where you're like, no, they wouldn't put that down. They wouldn't understand that connection. And the player's like,
Jace, yeah, I do. That's why I put it down.
You're so angry, but you've got to keep quiet and just watch how the other teammates try and figure out your clues, trying to reason what you've written down. Again, it's a very quick game. There are no losers, only winners, and lots of laughter, which is a mark of a great party game, I feel. And that is number 44, So Clover. So, at number 43, we have Camel Up, and this is the second edition of Camel Up in particular. Camel Up is a racing game. I do think it might cross the line and be considered a party game in some sense, but it is a racing game, essentially, but you aren't racing. You're rather betting on the outcome of a race where you don't have much influence. These camels are racing around the track. They're going absolutely batty. You're trying to bet on who wins, not only the leg, but also the whole race. You get a higher reward for betting early, but you take that chance of not actually having as much knowledge as people who place their bets later. So, do I take the risk and bet now and really hope that it pays off for me? Or do I wait a couple rounds, see where the camels end up, and rather take a more measured bet? You don't have much influence on the camels, as it were, but you can put little traps on them. You can jeer for them. If they land there, they go back a bit. Or you can cheer for them and give them a bit of boost. If your camel is in front, it comes with this awesome little pyramid component that you can shake up the dice and it will let you know, okay, which camel's going forward. Its table presence as a whole is amazing. It's got this great big board with palm trees and a lake. It's great and colorful. So as people walk past, they go, wow, what's going on? It does play up to 8 players. So that's why I say it could be a party game. It's quite big. The camels can actually stack on top of each other, and then they have this massive tower that moves as a monolith along the racetrack, and then they hop on and they hop off, and it's absolutely wacky. So my favorite thing about Camel Up are these 2 crazy camels that are running the opposite direction. They've been disqualified, and yet they won't stand still. So the crazy camels can also pick up your camels and take them the wrong direction around the track. So you might be first, a crazy camel comes on, gives your camel a piggyback, and there he goes, now he's lost. And not only one camel, they could actually pick up a whole stack of camels. So a whole stack of camels just go shift all the way the wrong way around the track. It's very fun, lots of laughs. And that's number 43, Camel Up. At number 42, we have Trash Pandas. Trash Pandas is a really great little game. I think it's a good palate cleanser game. It's one of those games you play between bigger games. It's very quick, very easy to teach. The theme is lovely. You're a little raccoon and you're trying to get the most trash. So trash is good. Trash is nice. So all the cards don't actually have their real names. They actually have what a raccoon would think they are. So instead of a fork, you might have a card that says shiny. Or instead of chocolate, you might have something that says yum yum. So the game does rely on dice, so you're throwing these dice and you've got to decide, am I going to push my luck? So it's got dice rolling and push your luck. Do I push my luck and throw and try for something better, or do I stick it out because I'm worried that if I go bust, I actually have a lackluster turn? Scoring is also a bit of set collection, so whoever's the most of a certain set is going to get those points. So you might see little Johnny over there with more yum yums than you, and you think, actually, I'm going to forego the yum yum collection right now. There's no point. They'll never catch up to him, and you go a different route. So the game has this aspect where mid-game you're changing your strategy depending on what the other players do. Very fun, very quick and easy to teach. The theme's great. I really like it. Great little palate cleanser game. A quick one with the folks as well. I think your parents might like this as well. And that's number 42, Trash Pandas. And 41, the last one on today's list, is Acropolis. So in Acropolis, you're building this ancient Greek city, or Acropolis, and you're trying to beat the opponent. So it's got a bit of drafting, got tile placement, it's got pattern building, and something I've never seen before in a tile placement game is layering. So you're putting down these city tiles to try and build up certain areas of the city. Is it the residential? Is it the factories? Is it a quarry, right? But you can also place tiles on top of tiles and build your city higher. Now, the plus side to building your city higher is the higher the layer is, the more points you get with a multiplier. So why wouldn't I just build one long big tower and get so many points? Well, because the tiles you choose to layer over don't count anymore. So you actually cover up points. So you have to decide, will I cover up this high scoring area and hopefully earn more points with this new layer? Or you purposely go and build runt areas, bad areas that you know won't score a lot of points, but your plan is that is going to be the foundation for my next level. So I won't be losing too much points there, and no loss, but lots of gain. It's a nice looking game, although I do think I would have preferred a bit more color. I do enjoy it. It's very thinky, as each of the different areas in the city have a different scoring mechanism, and it takes quite a while for you to get that in your head, but once you do, nice and easy. And once you get used to those scoring mechanisms, there's also the aspect of the layering, as well as an advanced scoring mechanism with each tile type. So the game can get very mathy, especially around scoring, where you have to really get out a pen and paper and count, and trust everyone else is counting correctly and not cheating the system. But a very great game overall. I quite enjoyed it. I like how the pieces slot together. I like how the pieces look. I do feel like a ninja when I throw them around. And that's number 41, Acropolis. And those were my top 50 games ranked 50 to 41. So if you have enjoyed any of this, please consider giving a like, subscribe, any of that social media goodness. Remember, this was part 1 of my top 50 games series. So if you like this, please consider subscribing so you'll be notified when part 2 comes out. And that'll be ranks 40 to 31, I think. Also, leave me some comments. What do you think about the list? Do you think this is a good list? What games don't you like? Which games do you think should have been higher? I'd love to hear your top 50 games for 2024 as well. But enough waffling. This has been Birds on Board. I've been Pigeon. You've been watching part 1 of my top 50 board games for 2024, and I hope to see you folks all excited for part 2 coming very soon. May your dice rolls forever be in your favor, and I'll catch you soon, folks. All the best. Cheers.